I saw, even in my own products and my services, where I needed help.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
When we talked, I had to go back to my business plan. This wasn't working.
Mm-hmm.
And not feel like I was less than because you got, a social media friend over here killing it. And kudos to her. But I can't internalize that because everybody has their time, everybody has their season. And guess what? Even if you don't make a million,
Mm-hmm.
you still got out there and you still tried. And that's better than a very large percent of people who sit back and watch and wonder, hey, what if? And
Oh,
me personally, I don't want to be that person. That's why my podcast is Life and Times of the Infinite Dreamer. At least I tried. I ain't got to
oh
be
yeah.
perfect, but I tried.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us on another episode of Entrepreneurial Truth. We have Miss C. Jones from Infinite Direction here with us, and I cannot wait to jump into this podcast today because it's going to be packed with gems. I want Miss Jones to introduce herself and tell us a little bit about who she is, how she started, and where she is now. Miss Jones.
Absolutely. Thank you, Miss Cassie, for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity being here. I am CeeJones. I am the creator of the Career Strategies for Success Guidebook and the Career Strategies for the Infinite Dreamer. Together, they are the foundation of my career curriculum program. It's called the Infinite Dreamers program. Is a career curriculum designed for youth ages 16 to 25, teaching them everything workforce related. We're talking about onboarding, resume writing, personal development, everything that you can think of to prepare your youth for the what we are now calling the 21st century pipeline, talent pipeline. That's what we're calling it now. So I work with organizations. I do speaking engagements, anything, create content, anything that they need that is for any type of support service as far as career related services for youth. I am happy to assist. How I got started, I know you asked me that. How I got started, I've been in the contracting field for over 15 years. And what I did was when I first opened up my business, it was geared toward women writing resumes for women who are around my age group, who are my peers, who are looking to climb the corporate ladder. So what I did was when the pandemic hit and all the doors shut down, what I did was I had to pivot. I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know how I was going to keep this business alive. And so I was just intuitively led to just start posting different things to social media. I started to get likes. I started to gain a small following, and then, networking, people giving me ideas, taking ideas from what I saw that was going on in the marketplace. And I created the workbook, started to market that, got a lot of great feedback. And so that was just like, okay, this is it. This is what I'm going to do. And from there, business is, if anybody know anything about business, you're going to have your ups, you're going to have your downs. So in my downtime, also wanting to be that infinite dreamer that I talk to my youth groups about, I decided, let me go ahead and start pursuing some of my ventures, the things that I've always wanted to do. So I got into podcasting recently, and it's been an amazing journey.
Wow, wow. Thank you so much for shedding light on everything that you do. I know you barely scratched the surface of everything that's there and everything that's left it unraveled. But, in your journey of pivoting, right, was there anyone that was instrumental, or did you look to mentors in order to guide you on that journey?
Yes, I did. So along the way, and I'll say this, I had a lot of people that poured into me along the way. I was new to entrepreneurship. I was new to the coaching arena. I was new to all of that. So I had a business mentor who actually was the first one who pushed me to say, you know what, go ahead and create that LLC. Go ahead and start to market yourself. Go ahead and start making these certain connections. because I didn't know with everything that was going on. Because life is still outside of entrepreneurship. You still got life, and
Mm-hmm.
so life was taking twists and turns, and so I didn't know if I was ready for that. But why not? With a little bit of mentorship, yes. So it was very important for me. And even when I was confused, like I said, not knowing what to do, where to go, COVID, everything was just like the world was on pause. And
Wow.
so the important thing about that is sometimes we have mentors that we don't even know these people personally. This is what YouTube University is for,
Mm-hmm.
social media. We have people
Mm-hmm.
that are dropping gems that we can take and to help us along on our business journey. So yes, I had mentors that I could physically call, and then I had ones that I could go right to YouTube and subscribe. Oh, I like her. Oh, that was good. Let me see how I can implement that. And it worked.
Love that. And I love the fact that you have a resilient spirit,
Yeah.
that you are able to convert whatever it is and test it in the market, see if it's viable for you and run with it. Now, let me ask you, how has it been as an entrepreneur? Like, have you found that journey from start of the business to where you are now?
Okay. Are you a fan of soap operas? As the world
Yes,
turns.
yes, why not? Why not? When I was younger, I used to be.
Yeah. You know what? It's a journey. It's a journey. And I'll say this, it's a journey where I'm learning more about myself,
Hmm. Hmm.
my shortcomings, my areas of resiliency. And that is what's been most helpful to me, because I'm learning about myself. I'm learning about how to build community and how to step outside of my comfort zone. So the journey has been one of peaks and valleys, ups and downs. But what I have learned is that to appreciate every step of it.
I know that we had a conversation before about just, what entrepreneurship looks like, and
Mhm.
that is not really a one size fits all. And people go into this journey, feeling like it's going to be an easy ride. If
Yes.
you were to give advice, right, what would you say to a entrepreneur that's just starting their journey?
Ooh, for entrepreneurs who are just starting that journey, it's not enough just to have a great product and just to have a great service. It's not enough. For my first and foremost thing I would say is to do your work, your personal work. If you need to start therapy, do that. Do that, because I'm gonna tell you something. The worst thing you can do is have a great service, have a great product, and you get in front of I don't want to give names, but a major corporation, and you ask it for money and you can't verbalize or you can't speak because you're so nervous and you feel insecure and you feel like you don't deserve it, and all of these things that we carry with us that doesn't equate to who you really are. You deserve. So if you have not dug into that part of you to stand tall and talk about yourself and be proud of who you are, you can have the greatest product in the world, but nobody's going to buy into someone who does not buy into themselves. Their journey is
Oh.
not an easy journey. You're going to have people, friends, even close people, and they will not support you. And it doesn't make it, that's not necessarily a bad thing, because that's not who you're supposed to market toward anyway. That
Mm-hmm.
is, you can only go but so far with that.
Mm-hmm.
But when I say all that to say is, and I'm gonna just sum it up, because I did a podcast episode and I said in that episode, if you can do it standing by yourself, standing tall, then you can do anything. If you can do it by yourself, standing tall, you can do anything. So I will just dig into the self, find out who you are, and stand on it.
I love that. I mean, I noticed a lot of creators, a lot of business owners that are now in this online space, right, where they're
Mhm.
now marketing their business online and through video and through ads. I'm realizing that a lot of them, when you take their courses or if you speak to them or you get any kind of mentorship, everybody talks about like the inner game, right? Your mental attitude, your mental fortitude, and why you have to have the grit, right? And why you need to have that thing, right? So why you have to work on yourself first, why you have to do all of this. I mean, I don't think it's talked about enough about how much
Mhm.
of a mental game business is.
It's you said it perfectly. It is a mental game. You really have to turn into somebody else. If you
Mhm.
think that Beyonce, and I always reference her, but Beyonce and Sasha Fierce, I always mention her because I mean she's known, right? Come on now. But if you don't think that when she says she's Sasha Fierce and she has to step on that stage as a totally different person, oh, you better believe it. That's exactly what she's doing because you have to. You have to turn off those voices in your head and say, oh no, this is where I am. This is why I'm focused on my product. I'm focused on my service. I'm focusing on my audience if you're a public speaker. And it's not easy, but it can be done. It can be done.
No, absolutely, absolutely. And how do you use that advice in your own coaching to your audience? Like when you're coaching your peer, the students, or you're coaching anybody in that demographic, how do you relay that message to them? Because let me let you answer that part first.
No, I talk about Beyonce. I just did a career strategies, a careers for success, or a career day with some youth just recently. And that's how you relate to them. You talk about who and what they see on TV and on social media. Beyonce is she's very known, very much known. So that's how I connect with them. But I talk about that like that is a real thing. That's a real thing. So if you have people, places, and things that's around you that are not in alignment with that person that you have to be when you got to go out and step out on that confidence, then you need to put yourself in circles where people are going to pour into that person instead of tearing that person down. So I just reference what's right there in front of them that they can relate to.
I love that. I love that. I love that because I think it's so important that if they get it now as a youth, that when
Hmm.
they get older, they'll be able to weather every storm because they'll have that ingrained in them, right?
Yeah.
Because I feel like we didn't, or generation, or didn't get the opportunity because nobody spoke about that inner game. You were just
Hmm.
expected to go out there and just do it. But I think it may be because we didn't have maybe access to information, like how access is kind of coming at us now. Information is so out there. It's easy to get the information to learn that inner game to then fight that battle, right?
And I'll add that to this too. I think that now we're starting to pierce through the veil. And what I mean by that now is you don't get the illusion. Now we see through the illusion. You have so many people who are coming out and talking about the dirty side of entrepreneurship, the competition and stuff that goes on, the backbiting, or just maybe somebody else got the contract and you didn't. And how they feel like we are now people social. This is the beauty of social media. If you use it correctly, it can give you insight, the proper insight if you use it correctly. So now we get to see it's a spotlight on the truth versus you turn on the television and you see Oprah and yeah, and she's smiling and you know what I mean? But you don't know that she just cussed out three staff members because the lighting wasn't right,
Mhm.
But now social media allows for you to see that. They allow for you to really you get to see the truth.
Hmm. And I love that. I love that it's now a place where information is so free because
Mhm.
it's one of those games that you have to not just have the mental fortitude, but I mean, you have the opportunity now to decide if is this for me,
Mm. Interesting. As you were talking, I remember a few years ago, I was flipping around. I was folding up clothes and I was flipping around, and they had this documentary. It was an old documentary of Whitney Houston, and she was talking to her mom. She was sitting on the couch. She was talking to her mom, and she was saying to her mom, she was like, "But she was talking about other ladies that were in the game at that time. I don't know if it's okay to say names, but she said, but mommy, I'm better than them
Wow. Wow.
now." And I know this was maybe about 2 to 3 years ago, but 15, 20 years ago, we never would have heard that conversation. So
Mm-hmm.
not only is the information there, I think now where people are starting to vocalize and getting past having to live up to a certain image.
Ooh. Ooh. Let me ask you, how are you doing that in your entrepreneurial journey?
Oh, podcast. That's the reason why I started the podcast, because it wasn't easy. I saw a lot of my shortcomings. I saw, even in my own products and my services, where I needed help.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
When we talked, I had to go back to my business plan. This wasn't working.
Mm-hmm.
And not feel like I was less than because you got, a social media friend over here killing it. And kudos to her. But I can't internalize that because everybody has their time, everybody has their season. And guess what? Even if you don't make a million,
Mm-hmm.
you still got out there and you still tried. And that's better than a very large percent of people who sit back and watch and wonder, hey, what if? And
Oh,
me personally, I don't want to be that person. That's why my podcast is Life in Times of the Infinite Dreamer. At least I tried. I ain't got to
oh
be
yeah.
perfect, but I tried.
But that's the premise of it, right? The premise is that you're supposed to do it while scared. And every entertainer that has gone through and become famous has done it scared. And I say this too to people I speak to. I say it to my kids. I say it all the time. It's not that they're not scared. It's
Yes.
not that they're not scared, but they are doing it anyway. I mean, I don't know if you watched the recently there was um Kevin Hart, right? He was
Okay.
awarded the Mark Twain Award, right?
Okay.
And he was talking about his journey, and
Mhm.
like it was not an easy or short journey. It was a long road of like he had to perform in arenas. It's not like they're doing it they're not it's not that they're doing it and they're not scared while doing it. They're still just trudging forward and doing it, but you as an observer, you're seeing them and you're like, oh, they're so well put together.
Mhm.
The show was great. You don't know the missteps. You genuinely don't know what's happening behind the scenes, right? But
You
everything
have.
is a work in progress, and that's the beauty of it. And I often talk about grace,
Mm.
how other entrepreneurs need to give other entrepreneurs grace, how customers need to give entrepreneurs grace, how we need to give ourselves grace, because everybody's so hard on each other.
That goes back to that image thing, like perfection. We've been sold on perfection, and perfection does not exist.
Mm-hmm.
Even when they have the commercials and they showing the food and that burger is sizzling. Look at the way, to appeal to the eye.
Right.
But behind the scenes, you don't know that they just spray water. I mean, because it's the illusion. And so
Right.
we have to be careful of that and not hold ourselves to a standard that's not real.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And you were talking about that earlier, in terms of seeing other people's social media and they're so put together. And that's the thing, right? As curators of social media content, it's easy to create an image, right? But that doesn't mean that that person behind that image is put together at all. And
Right.
if they are, they may just have great people behind them, right?
Yes. because entrepreneurship, when you get to a great place, you gotta have a team. You gotta have
Mm-hmm.
a great team. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
cannot
Mm-hmm.
you can't do everything by yourself. It's
No,
impossible.
no, no, no. And I wish more people knew that, that it really does take a great team. And if you don't have a great team, there's there's also things that come with that. So, I'm gonna pose that question to you. So when
Hmm.
you are looking for the right people to bring into your organization or bring into your team, what qualities do you look for in that person?
For me personally, because I am really big trust. I have to have trust. I have to be able to trust someone with my baby. This is my baby. Like I'm
Mhm.
building something from the ground up, so I need to know that you're going to care for it as if it was your baby. So
Mhm.
trust is a major factor, especially if you're bringing in someone who is having an eye on your money, or if it's legal matters involved. I want to know that you got my best interest.
Mhm.
So yes, trust and empathy, companion, not companionship, but compassion is what I
Mhm.
would say, because it takes all of these things to care for someone's business as if it's yours.
Yeah, 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 it does. And a lot of people don't understand that when you're creating a business, the care and time and effort, because it's hundreds of hours that you're putting
Yeah.
into developing this business, right? Because you're trying to make the best product, you're trying to do the best that you can, right? And when you're bringing people on, they're looking on it as a job,
Mm-hmm.
and they're not seeing what's at stake for you, right? Because this is your name, this is your reputation, you know?
Especially if your business is not only feeding you, but it's feeding other people.
Mm-hmm. 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 Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be well taken care of.
Mm-hmm. And let me ask you, what are some systems that you put in place to ensure the growth and the communication within anybody that you bring on board? Like, what are some systems that you would recommend to young or aspiring entrepreneurs?
Okay, so I'm working on that right now. So, look, for transparency as a business owner, I am working on that right now. One thing I would say is try to automate as much as possible. There are free calendar apps that would help you with booking services. Stripe, they try to automate those things as much as possible to remove the human error.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what else I would say? Like your QuickBooks, all of those things you were
You know,
going
yeah, I was going to say, it's so funny, right?
to.
I
Hmm.
realized that when you are 5 steps ahead, it's hard to think back to
Uh,
all the things that you have. So even though, like I heard you say, um, I'm working on that, but you are
mhm.
probably light years ahead of somebody that's just starting their game,
Yeah.
right? So it's funny how as you move along in your business, you lose sight of all the things and all those steps that you put in to
You
get to.
know, what's so funny is because I have been doing something manually, like reaching out to some people, doing some calendar stuff manually, and I think I was laying in the bed one morning because I get a lot of my ideas when I'm laying or like early in the morning. I'm laying in the bed before I decide to get out, and I have a calendar system, and I was like, well, you need to set it up. Holy Spirit came to me and it's like, you need to set it up. You do it this way, and you got to use it. You got it. Use it. And a lot of times, and I say what I like to say is a lot of times we have it all. We just got to connect those little dots. Just connect it, and just it doesn't have to be this big old expansion thing at one time. Just little tweaks here and there, and as you move on, you'll start to notice the improvements. So
Mhm.
I went on ahead and I've set it up. So now you could just go straight to the calendar and do all the booking, and you have to reach out to me individually. I also have a digital product now so that you can go straight to the website to download. You don't have to reach out to me directly. You can just go straight to the website. So it's little tweaks and stuff like that. And keep an eye out for the market, like what's going on in the market. And what I mean by that is new ways to improve systems. We
Mhm.
hear a lot about AI right now. And I know that's your world, Chat GBT, when you're writing a
Mhm.
lot of the content for your website. Take ideas, don't take the whole thing, take ideas. So things like that, copy AI. So things like that, yes, I do use those, and it saves me a huge amount of time.
Mhm.
Canva, you can now bulk do a lot of bulk posts, creating
Oh
bulk
yeah.
posts.
Oh
So,
yeah.
mhm,
I said, oh yeah, and that's that
it's
Canva is a huge tool that I mean we utilize as well, because it does make the task way easier for people to get their content out there. The days of struggling over content, is over.
and scheduling your content. You can do
Hmm.
that. Just pick one day. For me, it's Sunday. I use my Sundays to schedule all my LinkedIn content. So to free up time to do
Hmm.
other things.
Hmm.
You just use what you have available, do your research. I remember when I first got into business ownership and I had my website, and I didn't understand all the features that was available to me. And so one day I just sat down and I said, you know what, let me call and let me just do, ask them, what do I have? What am I paying for? And they walked me through, and I was like, oh wow, I
Ooh,
didn't know I can do this. I
I
didn't know I
love
can
that.
do that.
I
So
love that tip.
find a way to optimize what you already have.
Ooh, I love that tip. I love it. I'm going to dive into that because
Okay.
a lot of the time we as entrepreneurs are paying for software
Yes.
and have no clue how large and expansive that software is. I was listening to an interview, another podcast with Alex Hormozy and also the co-owner of Spotify. And
Okay.
he was talking about Spotify, the platform, and how expansive the platform is
Okay.
and how it grows with the size of the company. So if you are company A and you need a specific amount of service, you can use Spotify and it just gives you that amount. But most companies don't even know that it opens up this whole nother realm and they're paying for it already, but they don't even know that it has all the functionality. And they built it that way because they wanted it to grow with the entrepreneur. And I'm like, you know what? There's so many other softwares out there that's just like that, that
Mhm.
literally grow with you. And it's just knowledge, right?
Yes. But that goes back to the resiliency and understanding, taking the time out. Like I said, my business plan, what I had wasn't working. I had to go back.
Hmm.
And so that when you go back, be intentional. Like look at every part of what you have, your systems. Look at what, even if something as small as a cell phone, what could you do? What could you do with that cell phone to cover
Oh,
as much as you know what I mean? Like
oh.
they go out, and I went to this business event, and they were talking about why a lot of people get afraid to start businesses, and it's because of a lot of the money that it costs to actually get started. Well, take some of your own headshots. I mean, just try to get it, you know what I mean, as much as possible, but try to find ways to just do as much as you can, and I do as much
No,
as you can.
no, listen. It is one of the things that I believe that we don't do. We don't get out of our own way,
Yeah.
right? And I think if you are hungry enough, if you have that why dialed in, and they always talk about, oh, find your why. What's your reason why? And then once you get past that why, and it's 7 layers deep of whys, and then you get to the true reason. If you know and you are dialed into the true reason as to why you are doing something, you are going to get up every day and you're going to do it. You know, And there's so many incredible stories of people that sat there. They weren't doing anything with the business. They had done like one or two posts online. They weren't doing anything with it. And the minute adversity hit, they were out there every day like, hey, this is me, John. I'm
Yeah.
gonna go here today.
I mean, you know what? Just to say all that, start where you are. If you have to take your own pictures for headshots and websites, I did it. I did it in Canva to help you out now. But just start where you
Absolutely.
are. And as you grow, of course, you can bring on help. But just start where you are. It doesn't have to be fancy. Don't look at what everybody else is doing. It doesn't have to be fancy. Just start. Just start.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I mean, that is like key. You have to start somewhere, you know.
You
And,
do.
if I can take you back to that start for you, like the
Mhm.
very, very start, what was the first thing that you did when you had the business idea? What was the first thing that you did? Like, did you just go out and be like, you know what, this is my idea. I'm going to go out, I'm going to buy a website, I'm going to do, what was that? Can you take me back? What was that first thing that you did?
Okay, so the very first thing that I did was elicit help. And that was my mentor, my business
Ooh.
mentor. And she actually set up because she's been an established business owner for quite a while and had several businesses. So what she did was, and I was not the only person that she was mentoring. So she kind of had, a feel for how to get people started. And she created an Excel sheet for me that step by step, okay, what is it that you need to do to get started? And so I just followed those steps on that spreadsheet. And from there, as my business started to grow in different areas, I just kind of took my training wheels off.
I love that. I love that. I love that. I love that. I love the idea of creating a step by step guide. And I think that maybe one of the things that more entrepreneurs don't do when they're doing their, like, they're trying to help someone get from point A to point B, they're saying it at a level that they can't understand. But
Right.
when you break it down to, this is step one on the spreadsheet, press this button. This is step two, do this. I think that was amazing that she was able to even have that insight to be able to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
And
then when you took off the training wheels, right, and decided, I'm going to run into doing it, what did you create a business plan next? What was the next step in the game?
so the business plan came later, and I don't recommend that. But the business plan came later. From there, I was just trying to figure out, had the resume writing services. How can I kind of move forward with this? And someone gave me the idea of, oh, well, maybe you should connect with the homeschooling community. So that's what I did and got ideas and stuff from them. I won some coaching services for a couple of weeks of some coaching services. And so from there, I was like, oh, you know what? And then I met somebody. So I just kept meeting people. But then I got somebody who told me about Canva because before then I was using PowerPoint in 2022. I was using PowerPoint. Had no idea about Canva, doing all these presentations in PowerPoint in dinosaur land. And somebody was like, well, you don't know about Canva? I was like, no, and introduced me to Canva, and that was it. So from there, I created my workbooks. And so from there, I'm, doing all these pitch contests and, pop-up shops. And then I was like, you know what? You need to get a business plan. So then from there, I started the business plan. And here it is, just what, maybe like a week or two ago, like I said, just reassessing where I was. And I recommend to please do a gap analysis of where you are, where you want to be, and all the steps in the middle that you need to take so that you can see if you're making progress, where you're making progress, where you need to go back to the drawing board. So just recently, about a week and a half ago, I'm like, okay, you need to go back to your business plan and fix some things. So that's where I've been now, trying to prepare myself to, okay, so where else we going to start making some waves?
I love that. I love that. I love that. And you know what? Every business needs to do that. No matter the stage, it needs to go back and look at data to see
Yes.
where am I? What am I doing? What can I improve on? Right? And where do I need help? What areas do I need help in order to grow to the next level,
Yes.
of the business? That's like imperative, because sometimes you're on that hamster wheel where you're just going and you're putting in all these hours and you're not stopping to take the time to look back and say, okay, how can I make this process easier? How can I make
Hmm.
this process better? And then how much far further ahead will I be if I stop and take those 4 hours to just get it done?
Yeah. A
You know?
lot of time, and also just remaining aware, and I said this before, of the market, because things change so fast now. We're in the quick, everything is changing so quick. And because I have a business that's geared toward youth and just statistics and education and what's going on right now is so important, that requires a lot of research. If I'm going to have posts that are substantial, that are going to bring in potential people to businesses to collaborate with, and parents who are going to buy into my product and buy into my service, I got to stay up with the times. That's hours of research. What's going on in the work market? What's going on in the labor market? What's going on? And so that takes time, so that when I'm creating my post, it's relevant. Is three R's that I talk about in my program with goals, and I think it's also relevant with our posts and our communications to our audience. Is if it's real, if it's relevant, and rateable, meaning I can see progress of what it is that I'm giving to my consumer.
Oh, I love that. And it kind of is a segue into your product that you have. Can you
Mhm.
tell us a little bit more about the product that you have?
Yes, so it is a career curriculum. It is hosted on on the Teachable platform, and it is a self-paced learning. But I also have a one-on-one or group coaching element, depending on how many people are in the program at the time. And so I just teach them. We go through different modules of the program. Module one is about personal development. We're giving them an assessment for them to assess their outward environment, to kind of gauge, hey, am I getting in trouble? What's going on? What am I surrounded by? And to do a comparison, okay, is what I'm surrounded by right now in alignment with where I'm trying to go? We always want to keep that gap analysis in our minds, because that's going to be that level of self-awareness that we need, that's going to say, hey, look, maybe I need to redirect my focus, especially when we're talking about teenagers. And to be truthfully honest, right now, that's the most, I don't like that word, at risk, but that's the population that we really need to kind of like get a handle on now with everything that's going on. I don't know where in the world you are, where in the States you are, but now they're cracking down on a lot of the teen, what is it, curfew. They're putting curfews in place for a lot of the teens, because just, they're getting in trouble and stuff like that. So those are the things that we need to get ahead of. So we're teaching them about their surroundings. Then
Mm-hmm.
you go into your resume writing fundamentals. You're teaching them how to manage their time. We're teaching them how to establish a supporting network, talking about how to understand the difference between constructive feedback and deconstructive feedback. So we're just helping them develop just a stronger sense of self that's going to be needed when you get into these workplaces.
Mm-hmm. 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 And would you recommend that it is for your program is more geared towards 12th graders, or like 10th, they start at 10th grade? Where would you?
So I say 16 to 25, but I have done pop ups. I have done so many events where, because the workbook it's very easy read. You have a lot of pictures. Like I said, keeping up with the scientific data. People don't really read that much, so it's not heavy with a lot of wording. We get pictures. We get examples. So I say 16 to 25, but I have gotten a lot of great feedback from middle school parents, from that
Mm.
homeschooling community. And also the infinite dreamers is more of the extensive side of it, where you can you can capture that 23, 24, 25 age group.
It's so funny. I think like when I heard you talk about, just analyzing, assessing your surroundings, it brings me back to even the entrepreneurs as well who need to do that same work, right? Because you need to analyze who's around you, who you have in your space,
That's right.
because that energy and that those people in your space may not be helping you grow. So whether it be a young entrepreneur or young a teenager that wants to start a business, or older person that's starting a business, no matter what age group you're in, you always need to analyze who is around you.
That's exactly right.
Hmm.
It's especially, and I say this, know, have a vision for where you want to see your business, and see yourself in your business, and then align yourself with those people. Because
Hmm.
I'll say this, as a new entrepreneur, and maybe I should have said this when you asked me about advice, as a new entrepreneur, especially if you are still working and you trying to establish yourself in your business, it is very easy to become a consumer of someone else's business if you're
Ooh,
not careful.
ooh. Okay, okay, let's go into that. I love that. I love that.
If you are not careful, you will find yourself patronizing other people's businesses, and that's where your money is going. So that means that you see these coaching programs that are claiming to help, and you spending $5,000 and $6,000 on something that you could have pulled out in Google for yourself. And I'm just speaking all honesty.
Hmm.
But you have to be careful. If you are a new entrepreneur, you got a lot of salespeople out here in this side of the game,
Hmm.
and you have to be very careful not to be a consumer of someone else's business while yours is failing.
Hmm.
Meaning the
Ooh.
money that you could put into your business, you paying for coaching.
Hmm.
So be
Hmm.
very careful.
Hmm. Hmm. You need to find the right coaches. Like you
Yes.
need to really have that need, right? Like you have that gap in your business and you need to fill it, and then that's the only way or reason you should be paying for it. And I spoke to another person earlier this week about it. We need to really identify what's important and what do I need right now to get from point A to point B, in and what, like, so don't pay for anything that you don't need.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
And that's why that analysis is going to be so important, like you talked about. That analysis is going to be so important. Remember, you have where you are, you have where you want to go, and then you're going to
Hmm.
find someone that's going to help you take those steps to get there. But
Hmm.
you have to have that vision, and let it be your vision, not mom's, not dad's, not sister, brother, cousin, or Tom down the street. Have your vision, and then you're going to get someone to help you get there. But be very careful. Yes.
So basically, what where we're starting is really to identify what your vision of the business or what your vision of your future looks like,
That's right.
and then identify what you actually need to get it done. And if you don't know what you need to get that done, seek the people that can help you identify, okay, well, these are the steps. And like your mentor, okay, here's a spreadsheet.
That's
This,
right.
this, 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 this is going to help you from to get from here to there.
That's
Mm-hmm.
right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's
And
a
I
competitive
love every.
world out here.
Sorry.
I said it's a competitive world out here. You have to be mindful.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely,
Mhm.
absolutely have to be mindful. And I love that your program is geared to helping youth in that age range. So by the time they've gotten through that, they could even, based on what I'm hearing, refer to it as a guide. you
Yes.
know Sometimes we get rid of things that are really good and helpful thinking that we've outgrown it.
That is very true. And you come to find out that you have to pull it back out and dust it off. We're like, oh, Lord, wait a minute, I need to pull this back out. Absolutely. I did. Yeah, sometimes you got to go back. I use my business plan again as a perfect example. I had to go back.
Hmm. And I've heard like really great, well, I wouldn't say great people, but I've heard from entrepreneurs that are like the height of their game. They say people will consume content in different formats. So
Mhm.
someone will sit down and all the answers to their problems will be in a book, but they don't want to read that, right? So someone will pay for that same information broken down in like a spreadsheet
Modules.
or modules, and then someone else will pay for that same information that's in that book, as a one-to-one. So it's just how we consume the information, find
Mhm.
out what way is best for you, what learning style is best for you,
Yeah.
right?
And sometimes it sounds, we can pick it up if it's coming from someone else. Sometimes, like, it's so many different reasons why we may not get something the first time. Like, I know for me, I like the one-on-one coaching. I like group coaching,
Mm-hmm.
so you have to get to what's best for you.
Mm-hmm.
What's best for
Mm-hmm.
you. But sometimes I might, if you don't know, you don't know. So I don't know. I may not know what book to go out and try to find if I don't know how to integrate AI into my email notifications. So if I don't know, I don't know. And that is what you get your coaching for. You get the coaching for what you don't know.
Mm-hmm. 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 And I love that. I love how do you, I'm gonna dive into your business. How do
Mhm.
you ad, advise parents when they're looking to come for your service, right? Let's say they have a child and they're interested in your service. How would you recommend like one-on-one, like how do you do a consultation first with the parent and say, hey, maybe this is, or do you do a consultation with the child and the parent?
Well, to be quite honest, I don't know yet. I don't know yet. Um, what I found is that people come to me for more of the resume writing portion of my program than the actual entire program itself, which is the reason why I say, you know what, and now I got to go back because what I elements that I thought was working, maybe it's not quite effective. And as a business owner, I'm not afraid to say what's working and what's not working. I don't want to waste my time.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I will have people, hey, can you work with my son on their resume? Absolutely. Go to the website, book with me. Yeah, absolutely. But as far as getting, the feedback from what's maybe taking the whole program, no, so I have to go with what works. And if I can come in and step in and act and help them with the resume and work with them for an hour or so, or even do it with them themselves, do it myself, excuse me, then hey, but
You know what? And I'm sure it probably happens to you too, that once they get to know you, like they get you for the resume writing, and then you start speaking into other aspects of what they need, they're like, wait, hold up. And then you assist them from that point on, even your digital curriculum.
well, like I said, we'll see. It's still growing. So, that's part of the journey. Sometimes you're disappointed that things don't work out the way that you had envisioned, but then you have other areas where the sun is like, and
Oh,
then that's where you have to redirect your focus.
oh,
Like,
I love that.
I do the podcast. People are reaching out to me left and right about the podcast, but of my program itself, but I have some ideas of how to move some things around, and I haven't done it yet. But I think the way that I want to do it will be a better fit.
Listen,
But
I Love
I
that.
never would have known had I not created the program. I never would
Oh,
have known had I not decided to jump out there. I never would have known, if you don't assess and take a look at
mm-hmm.
where you are and what you're doing. So,
Mm,
and then, it's always a thing of I can collaborate with other people. People call me for speaking engagements about career stuff. So it's a scientific experiment. You see what works and you see what doesn't.
I love that. I love the transparency and the honesty and the just the openness of your conversation because, I feel like it's so hidden that I just don't know sometimes, but I'm testing it out. These things are working. This is what, I see working right now. It doesn't mean that what I've developed or created isn't going to work, but just this isn't the season for it,
All in
right?
due time.
Everything is in due time and everything is in its season. And I always feel like as a creator, sometimes you create things and you get disappointed that it's not working right now, but that doesn't mean it's never going to work, right? It just means that in this season, this is not the season and the time for it.
Or it's not the way it's supposed to be done. Or with who? Because you just talked about
Whoa.
having certain people around.
Oh,
So,
oh, yes.
this is the reason why faith
Mm,
and entrepreneurship go hand in hand,
mm-hmm.
because you have to keep going and you have to see yourself on the other side of it. The how, like somebody else just recently told me, is none of your business. You just have to see yourself on the other side. So I was like, in one of my pouting sessions, because it's a journey. It's a journey.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. It is a journey. It is a journey. And I know a million people wanted to go on that journey with you because you're so amazing. You're impactful. You have the best energy. You have such a great vibe. Such a great vibe. I really hope that our listeners and other people who have listened to this podcast definitely seek you out for the knowledge that you have because you're such an amazing person, an amazing entrepreneur, and I'm so happy to have you on today.
Thank you. I'll say this. At first, I was nervous and scared to talk about a lot of and be transparent about the journey. But, I feel like people need to know the truth. We see social media will show you the people with the boss chicks. And to be honest with you guys, it takes time to even get to that point, if you get to that point. And
Mhm.
if you don't, it's okay. You don't have to make $1 million to be successful. You define your own version of success, and I'll leave it with that.
Oh, and let me ask you, what is your version of success?
My version of success is not to, first of all, for my business to fund my life, a soft life at that, and for my business to be able to not only change my life but to change other people's lives. I can sit here and talk so much about the life part, but define your own version of success. If I can sit out on the beach with all of my kids and we just sit and laugh and talk while I'm sitting here coaching people, that is my version of success.
Ooh, I love that. I love, 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 love that. Define your own version of success because your version of success is different than everybody else's version of success. And you have to know what makes you happy.
Absolutely.
Oh, Miss Jones, thank you so much for being on today. I truly appreciated the conversation. I know it won't be the last. I appreciate the conversation. You're a delight to have on. And can you tell everybody where they can find you?
Absolutely. So if you want to learn more about me, you can go to www.yourinfinitedirection.com. Over there, you can see my products, you can see my services. If you want to buy a workbook, if you're interested in the Infinite Dreamers program or the resume writing digital download, all of that is over on my website. You can also access the podcast, the Girl Get Up podcast, Life and Times of the Infinite Dreamer, where I also interview people who are come on and talk about the personal development part of the entrepreneurship. So yes, go over to the website.
Love that. Love that. Thank you so much for everything that you bring to the table. And I love to hear more about your journey. Thank
Thank
you.
you for having me.
No, thank you for coming on.
Have a wonderful evening.
You too.